This is Remy's sister Jane. Corinne's call on Monday completely stunned me. We usually talk about once a week. It felt like a dark cloud passed over the sun and took the breath out of my body. He was such a big part of my life from the time he joined our family. From the age of 4, when he composed his first song, music was part of his world. As he grew older and took piano lessons, he deepened his understanding of music and even drove his piano teacher up the wall by insisting on playing his own compositions. He continued adding to his musical education by forming a band with his teenage friends called December's Children. After high school, he went to LSU and had some typical frat brother adventures. He studied architecture for several years before leaving school. He got the call to travel and explore his interests, usually involving music. He had a brief encounter with the Nashville scene, which gave him studio exposure. He traveled west and met other young musicians, improving his guitar and piano skills. He was picked up by bands like Grateful Dead, Santana, and Natalie Cole, playing tours before moving on. He was always comfortable playing music with a Caribbean beat, mostly salsa, which he composed and recorded. During his travels, he spent some time in the New Orleans music scene, writing and sitting in on sessions with blues musicians like Professor Longhair, a New Orleans original, and the Neville Brothers. His quest for new knowledge drew him to explore many countries in Europe, Southern Africa, the Middle East, Brazil, and the Caribbean. He liked to find a place with a view and stay there so he could interact with his neighbors and understand their culture. Finally, he wanted to do something permanent and began the resort project, which kept him involved for several years. Having him as a brother was like trying to hold the wind. You just had to embrace who he was, admire his talents, and be grateful that he was part of your life. I loved trading stories and talking music with him every week. I only wish I had been able to see and share in his last accomplishment and enjoy mornings on his balcony. Alas, I had a brother, and we all loved him so.
Hi, this is Jeff Landau from Los Angeles, an old friend of Archer's. Archer was one of my closest friends, one of the biggest influences in my life. He was the most talented musician I ever met, songwriter, composer, piano player, just the most creative person you could find, and what a poet as well. Archer and I had many wonderful adventures over the years, and we became very close. We miss him dearly. We've missed him for a long time, and now, God rest his soul, rest in peace, Archer. There'll never be anyone like you. He meant so much to us. We thank Corinne and all his friends in the Philippines for taking care of him in his later years. And we send our love to you on this very sad but wonderful day to celebrate Archer Dunn. He's a unique and wonderful human being. Arch, we love you. From all his friends out here, Ivan Neville, Jeff Latin, all the other folks. We love you, Arch, and rest in peace.
Hi, Corinne. This is Jeffrey Latin. I could not figure out how to make a video recording with audio on my phone. It might be too old. So I made this one with my Zoom recorder. You can play this at the ceremony. I met Remy in 1974 when he was visiting Woodstock, New York, where I was living at the time. We met through a mutual friend named Tom, and since they were both musicians, we put on a jam session at my house that lasted 3 days, and almost every good player in town, and there were many, came and jammed with us. It was memorable. I had never played with players as good as Remy and Tommy. It raised the bar for me. Rem and his buddy saw how unhappy I was in Woodstock and said, "Why don't you come to New Orleans?" They had a place I could stay, and after a year of thinking about this, I jumped in 1975 and took off for New Orleans with just some clothes, a few instruments, me and my car. A new life. Remy made it very comfortable for me, showed me around town, and we formed a fast friendship. We did lots of stuff together. played golf frequently, did some things legal, drank a bit, and owned a nightclub together where every musician in town came to jam. I went to Honduras with him and his band to be the sound engineer, and that was a unique experience. I introduced him to Latin salsa music with a homemade Walkman recording I made at the Corso, one of the major Latin venues in New York City. He fell in love with salsa and became a regular there and sat in with the bands frequently. We had a mutual friend who worked for Hyatt Hotels and would fix us up with rooms and suites anytime we went to New York, so we did that often. I was looking for a trombone so I could join a Latin band in New Orleans, and Rem called me up at the hotel and said he saw a nice one in a pawn shop in New York and I should check it out, which I did. I bought it and played trombone for about 2.5 years with a New Orleans salsa band and played the New Orleans Jazz Fest twice with them, all due to his finding the trombone. We played together in the nightclub band and were continuous friends the whole almost 10 years I lived in New Orleans. He then moved to California, and subsequently I left New Orleans and moved to California and stayed at his house in Bel Air for several months until I got my own place. I did the sound engineering for his band when they played club dates, was a frequent visitor to the house where I met lots of women and famous players, including Bonnie Raitt and others. We converted his garage into a recording studio by putting up egg crates all over the walls. We stayed friends in Los Angeles for years until he moved to Northern California, to Marin County, and I followed quickly because I was fed up with life in Los Angeles. We lived together in a house in Tiburon, California for a while, got really blitzed one night in the sauna with a bottle of Johnny Walker Black Label, and thereafter I got my own place. Then he decided to travel the world, but we stayed in touch. He told me about this barn he bought in the south of France and was converting it into a beautiful chateau, and we had to come visit when it was done. Around 1999 or 2000, we flew to France and stayed for 2 weeks at his gorgeous chateau and toured all around the south of France to places he showed us that we would never have known about, like a 16th century castle, now a hotel, on the River Tarn. What an experience, and he made it all happen and was a wonderful host. We never would have done that without him. Every time he moved, whether to Dubai or the Philippines or Mexico or wherever, we'd have a video chat for an hour or more, around once a month, thanks to WhatsApp, and it was always a treat to hear from him and see how nice his life was proceeding. We saw pictures of Corinne and knew who she was, but never actually spoke to her until this recent event. We are so glad to have made contact with her, and we know that she will keep Remy's memory.